I'll tell you one thing I'm watching early in this season with the Cardinals, with the Seahawks, with the Rams, with the 49ers. And that's what is the hierarchy in the NFC West. We talked about this on Sunday. The NFC West went 4-0, and the NFC West looked really good at 4-0. Like the teams that won, the other three teams, Arizona looked fantastic. Seattle looked fantastic. The Rams looked fantastic. After watching Seattle again, I feel that way again. So one of my early questions as we watch these first few weeks of the season is, are we sure the Niners are not the fourth place team in the NFC West? I don't think we're sure that they're not the fourth best team in the NFC West yet. They've got some injuries early. I have high expectations for them. I like you do, like a lot of people do. I don't think, matched up, Cliff and Kyle are equals, but the Cardinals have just given the 49ers problems. Kyler's a mother. Obviously Seattle and the Rams are better on offense. So I don't think we're sure yet that the Niners aren't the fourth place team in the NFC West. Are you sure yet that the Niners aren't the fourth place team in the NFC West?
I just do not believe in the Cardinals. I would say like currently right now.
Yeah, just
like
right now.
I mean, the Cardinals could beat anybody. So yeah, are they more dangerous? September 14th, 100%. I'm still betting on them finishing last.
As am I.
One takeaway though, watching the other two teams in the division. The Rams have been better, 3 of the 4 years, right? Now the Niners have beat them 4 times in a row, but I think we got to throw that out the window now that they got the other fucking quarterback. And Collinsworth mentioned this when I was the second half. He's like, Al, I don't think we've ever done a Lions game, right? Like, I don't think people quite understand how little you've watched of Matt Stafford. We're not counting. What doesn't get counted is red zone stuff with the Lions, right? When you watch a full game and the primetime games, you've watched, like the average fan who lives in Texas or California or Seattle has watched on average 5, actually when you factor in the playoffs, what do you think? If you're an NFL fan, 7 Brady games a year, 7 Rodgers games a year. Now with Russell, wherever you live, the team that's not in your market, but the top teams, like you watch that quarterback 5 to 7 times once you factor in the playoffs. You get a pretty good feel for him as a fan scout, right? You're like, this guy's good. I think a lot of people have takes on Matt Stafford without really watching him at all. As like someone who you just watch a player play a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, I also think we're always debating if Stafford underachieved or was just a stat patter, or should he get some leniency because he was on the Lions, or should we say no? Why are you giving him a pass? He had Calvin Johnson. We're always trying to figure out which. Here's the bottom line: there's a line, and there's really good and not really good, and he's really good. Now, is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? We'll see. But most guys, good teams or on bad teams, just can't do some of the things Matthew Stafford can do. And now he's paired with Sean McVay.
And he's just a dramatic upgrade.
We know is one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, they're going to be really good. And I think
and you're right. And he's an upgrade. That's a good point.
I think watching Seattle, who has, given the Niners trouble for a decade, they feel better than they've been watching their defense. And when Jamal got paid, I watched his press conference 3 or 4 weeks ago. And he said the difference this year than last year, he's like, I was injured when I got here. I was battling some stuff. I just never felt right. I got here late, right? Remember they made the trade right before the season.
Yeah.
And it was just, I just hit the ground running, and then I got injuries. He's like, I know the defense now, and I'm 100% healthy. Watching that defense, and part of it's got to really piss Brady off. It feels like they got 4 or 5 guys that switch to single-digit numbers in the front 7. It makes them look better. He is flying around, hitting people really hard. I wonder if they justified it by this. They go, this guy's got some flaws. Not a great cover guy. But his violence, his versatility, and everything else is going to be a multiplier on our defense. Because when you're going to watch the film on Monday, you got to match, he's our best defender. You got to match his violence and his effort. He flies. How often you just watch 2 series of them on defense? 33 is just fucking everywhere.
You could argue if you're deciding whether or not to sign or draft a defensive player, instead of trying to figure out, can he cover? The question is just, does he keep the defensive coordinator up at night the week of the game? And the answer on Jamal is yeah.
Yeah, cool. He blitzes. He brushes the passer. And the Niners have guys like that. Warner and Kittle are that, and that's what kind of sets the tone for their team. But they're going to need one thing's clear with the injuries. And I was arguing with someone on DM. He's like, how could you guys said something, the Kinlaw is more important, Jason Verrett? Because I just fundamentally believe that the defensive line is infinitely more important than a corner. Obviously, Jason, like, I'm not saying that's not a loss. He's their most talented corner, but if I can just get a healthy Kinlaw for the next 16 games, like, that's a huge addition. The Seattle, every team in the league would take a first round level talent for a defensive line over a corner in a heartbeat for a stretch. Now, it's all in theory because I don't know how many games these guys can play. But the Niners, the key to this season, more guys are going to get hurt. Can their premium guys, like their core, Kittle, Warner, Trent, Bosa, right? Debo, Ayuk, whoever, probably, maybe both. If Ayuk,
at this point, they're running like,
yeah, can their high end, 7-8 guys stay on the field?
Trent. Did you say Trent?
Yes, I said Trent. Like,
Trent.
that's what they're going to need.
I call him Trench Williams. But by the way, to your point on the single digits, I was watching the Eagles game today going, God, this corner? Who is this guy? He's sweet. And it's
like an outside linebacker.
It was Steven Nelson. I'm like, who is 3? It's like, oh, the guy who's like, he's been in the league.
Yeah.
I thought it was some new sweet player, but he looks sweet in number 3.
Yeah, the numbers the numbers make it look cooler when they have a big hit. You're like, damn, who got that sweet hit number 6? And then it's like, that's Rodney McLeod. He's been in the league for 12 years. Like, well, it doesn't look the same when you're 38. I do respect, like, Jamal Adams just kept 33. He could have easily just gone to 1 or something, and it'd been like, damn, that's badass. Honey Badger, we'll see. I mean, I hope he just stays with 32. But just some of the, I respect the star secondary guys that just stay true to their brand. Now, part of it wasn't like you had to buy back, if you were a star player, buy back all the jerseys. Like for Steven Nelson, it might not have been fine. It didn't matter. Right. But for Jamal Adams, that could be kind of expensive, right?
If Richard Sherman comes back, what would he wear? 25? Would Elijah Mitchell give him 25?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. 5.
I don't know if Richard Sherman's coming back.
Well, I don't either, but was he 11 in college?
Honestly, I thought he wore a single digit in college, but
he maybe wore 9 in college.
I was gonna say 5, but I'm pretty sure he wore a single.
Pretty sure Evan Moore wore 5 in college, John.
Same class.
Yeah, I don't know the same class, but they're on they both were on that team that beat Stanford.
You could have double numbers though in college, right?
But Richard was a receiver.
But his last 2 years switched.
So maybe he switched to 5 after when he was on defense.
Could be wrong on that one.
And somebody on Nate says Adams wore 33 in college at LSU. So what would you say then? That you are not sure yet that they're not the last place team, but you're also, of course, and I'm with you. I would still bet on Arizona, and I still think you get 3 teams in the playoffs out of this division. I just know after 1 week, there are things that happen in week 1 that don't actually indicate what's going to happen the rest of the year. But after 1 week, everybody looks good, and I do think Kyler being really good is real, but a season is 17 weeks long, and over the course of a long season, your coaching matters, your quarterback health matters, like all that stuff. Attrition plays out.
He was remarkable on Sunday. I mean, I'm not going to try to be a hater on that one. Like,
well, there's nobody else like him in the NFL, because I would say that about Kyler.
Yeah, I would say if like Chandler Jones might have had the best, when you 5 sacks as a pass rusher, but Kyler. Did 5 guys have better games than him just throughout the league, any position? I mean, he threw 4 touchdowns. He was running all over the place. He was making these plays that look like Bryce Young would make at Alabama or something. Now, I get Tennessee's defense was terrible, but if Kyler's going to do that for 17 weeks, yeah, that's a playoff team. But we talked all year long about this division, rightfully so, being really good. Once you see it, you're like, yeah, it's actually really, really good. Right? The Rams are going to be better. Seattle, they've been awesome, but it just feels like this team feels a little more complete than in years past. And then Arizona, it's like, well, remember they lost Chandler Jones second half of the season. So if they get a 15, 20 sack guy and Kyler can just not ebb and flow as much, it's going to be a motherfucker. I mean,
I think the question, so part of this, like, what are you watching for early? Seattle versus Indy had the potential to be, both teams can be kind of weird. Seattle can be weird. Indy is going to be weird. Carson does not look comfortable watching him. But I think part of the question is like, is Seattle just going to be, is Shane Waldron going to just make them really consistent? Are they just going to be the same every week? Are they going to play down to opponents? Or are they just going to be the same every week? Because I do think one thing you would say generally about Kyle McVay offensive guys, and you could shoot a hole in this because you'd be like, well, LaFleur just got his ass kicked. Green Bay LaFleur. They tend to be pretty consistent. Like their teams, if their team ceiling is average, then they just play average a lot. If their team ceiling is really high, then they play really well a lot. So
we got the Rams play the Colts. Obviously, the Niners play the Eagles. Vikings, Cardinals. That's probably the easiest of the bunch. And Seattle,
game's
Tennessee.
in Arizona.
That game's in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, to me, the games that are, watching Tennessee and Indy come off 2 losses. Like, do we get just those are 2 playoff teams last year, right? Are they going to play like 11-win teams? Or are they both going to start 0-2? In Seattle and LA going to beat them both?
Jason says on YouTube, sucks about Mostert. Probably done with the Niners. Guy can't stay healthy. Yeah, that went from 8 weeks to the full season real quick.
Told you. I wasn't expecting him to tweet out he's getting surgery, but I just said, I've seen this before. I will be any carry he got from this point on, I will be shocked. Now I expected him to
give him 3 games somehow.
Yeah, or just like make a comeback, 2 carries, then he gets hurt again. But I'm also, and I imagine a lot of people listening to this could not have been shocked when they heard the news. Like, it's over.
Yeah. No.
But I'm with the comment. I don't think he's ever on the Niners again. Because you can't
go back to that well again.
You can't let these people tease you. I think I was in the
one
car
thing with Jalen Hurd, you're not relying on him.
But I heard in the car today, Peter King was on with Russo, and Russo asked him about the Niners. And Peter brought up, he's like, Kyle just loves this guy, Jalen Hurd, and he's still got him on the team. It's like, I do think Kyle has this weird, like, soft spot for guys that he, like, envisions, but once he sees you, then he turns on you. But if he envisions, like, there's a level of hope there, he can hold on. Now, Mostert now is kind of, I don't want to say screwed, he got hurt, but let them down. I mean, I guess they doubled down in the draft this year as a contingency plan.
Which they probably always will, I'm guessing, moving forward. I mean,
probably
they have already.